Hello students, here's the notes for 7.3 constant of proportionality, okay? So here's your starter, so pause this and work on these three starters. If you're back to the video, that means you've paused it, you've tried to do these starters on your own, and you are back to learn how to do it. Okay, so how we find a unit rate. We discussed last time that we are now going to find a unit rate by the number for what we want one of over the other number. Now I know this is a little bit confusing, so let's look at it in number 2, okay? Number 2 says if I eat 5 cupcakes in 30 minutes, how many can I eat in 1 minute? So we want to know how many we can eat in 1 minute. So that's our number of that we want one of. So that means our minutes is going to be on the bottom of the fraction. So we're going to put 30 on the bottom and then 5 on the top. Now we want a simplified fraction, so we can simplify it by dividing both by 5. And we get 1/6, okay? Or I can eat 1/6 of a cupcake per minute. That is what that means. Okay, question number 3 is y equals 4.5x proportional? Explain. Yes, it is proportional, okay? Because there is no addition or subtraction, we know that it is proportional, okay? Now remember, if this had looked like y equals 4.5x plus 2, because we have that plus 2, it is not proportional, okay? If you have a question on any of those starters, feel free to email me. Okay, today we're going to learn about something called the constant of proportionality. And the constant of proportionality is basically a fancy way of saying unit rate for things that are proportional, okay? Another way of verbalizing this is how much is it decreasing or increasing for 1? So if we go up an hour, how much are we increasing or decreasing in the other thing we're evaluating, okay? I know this is a little bit confusing, but we will talk about it some more with some application. So what does this look like in graphs? In graphs, this is simply y over x, which is kind of how we find our unit rate. So we're going to pick a point where all 3 lines meet up. So where a vertical line meets a horizontal line meets one of the diagonals, okay? You may notice that all of these points match that criteria. But if we'd chosen this point on the graph, it's not on a vertical line or a horizontal line, so it's going to be harder for us to figure it out. So we want to pick a line, we want to pick a point where all 3 of the lines converge. I'm going to pick this one, okay? Then we look to the side to see what the y value is. Well, the y value is 30, so that's going to be on the top. And then I'm going to look down to see what the x value is. The x value is 5, so that's going to be on the bottom. And then 30 divided by 5 equals 6. So 6 is our constant of proportionality. Now the homework that we're going to fill out while we do this, it will write this as a fraction, so it would write it as 6 over 1. But we know that anything over 1 is just equal to itself. So I want you now to try this on questions 1 through 4 of your homework, okay? You can find your homework by going to our home page, clicking what are we doing today, clicking on today's date, the 8th or the 9th, and then it's right here, 7.3 constant of proportionality. This is just going to open up as a Google slide, so go ahead and open it up. What you're going to do is work through questions 1 through 4, okay? And when you have the right answer, you're just going to drag this blue square on top of whatever the right answer is, okay? I can't drag mine, but you should be able to drag it, okay? So take a second, make a guess for questions 1 through 4, and then I'm only going to go through 2 of them. But go ahead and pause this video, make a guess for all of them, and then we'll go over 2 of them together. All right, if you're back to this video, that means you've made a guess for 1 through 4, and we're now going to go over them as a class, okay? So I'm going to go over question 2 because this is the one that is going in a weird direction, okay? All of our ones we have going this way at that diagonal, but this is the only one we have going at this diagonal. So let's see how that changes things, okay? So I'm going to zoom in. Maybe. Okay, never mind. So we just want to pick a point where all 3 of those lines are converging. We don't want to ever pick 0, 0, but we want to pick a point other than that. I have highlighted the green and the orange points. Either of those would be great for this activity, okay? I'm going to also quickly go through and fill in my lines on the graph. So this has 4 lines, and we end at the number 4, so that means each of these lines equals 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on this side, again, we have 4 lines, but we end at 8. So that means each of these lines is 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, that's going to be important. And same over here, except we're going to negatives. -2, -4, -6. And same going down, it's just negatives. -1, -2, -3. So as we remember, we do y over x. So I'm going to look at the y value of the green point, and I have a -1. I'm going to look at the x value of the green point, and I have a +1 on the y, but I have a -4 on the x, right? This is a +1 and a -4. So that's our green point. Well, let's try it for our orange one. I'm going to look to the y, and I have a -1. I'm going to look to the x, and I have a +4. You may notice that these are the exact same number. The only difference is where the negative is placed. Now, fun fact, it does not matter if the negative is on the top or the bottom of a fraction. It means the same thing. So we actually just write the negative out in front so as not to confuse us, okay? So this right here is the one that you're going to put your blue box around, -1/4, okay? Don't worry about the colors. If you want to go through and color the third slide, you can, but that is not a requirement. I will not be grading it. Okay, the last one I'm going to do is question number 4. And I'm going to do question 4 because it's kind of hard to find the point where all 3 converge, okay? The point is right here. Anywhere else along this line, it doesn't quite hit both of them. This one looks close, but you might be able to see that it doesn't quite go right to 3, so we don't want to use that one. So we are going to do y over x. So I'm going to look to our y, and we have a 4. I'm going to look down to our x, and we have a 14. So 4 over 14. But we always want our fractions to be simplified. So I know I can divide both of these by 2, so I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2, and I get 2/7. So that means this right here is our answer, 2/7. Okay, so now that we know how to find the constant of proportionality in graphs, we're going to find out how to find it in a table. And a table is actually pretty similar to a graph. We're just going to do y over x. This is nice, though, because now they've told us what the points are, okay? Right here, x is 5 and y is 15. We could pick any one of these groups of points, and we would get the exact same answer. So I'm going to do the first one. Our y is 15 over our x, which is 5. 15 over 5 is 3. Well, let's try this one just for kicks and giggles. Y is 6, x is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. See, we get the same constant of proportionality for both of them. Okay, so I want you to now try it on questions 5 through 8. I will only be going over one of these, okay? My only thing to remind you guys is don't use the 0.00. That will not work, but any other ones will, and remember to simplify, okay? We're going to do y over x. So pause this video and try 5 through 8, and I will go over 1. Okay, if you're back, that means you've tried these all and you're ready to go over one of them. I'm going to go over 6, okay? So it's always easiest if you just pick the lowest value because then you don't have to simplify. If they give you where x is 1, that means you're definitely not going to have to simplify and it's going to be the easiest. So our y is a -8, so -8 goes on top. Our x is a -1, so it goes on bottom. Whenever the top and the bottom of the fraction are negative, that negative cancels out, and we are left with this positive answer right there. Okay, so now we know how to find the constant of proportionality in graphs and in tables. So let's now figure out what it looks like in an equation. The constant of proportionality in an equation is just the number in front of an x. Now, an important thing to remember is if an equation is not proportional, then this is not the constant of proportionality, okay? It has to be proportional, meaning there's no addition or subtraction in order for this to be the constant of proportionality. Another thing to note, if we have something like this, where we have 2y equals 6x, we can easily change this into this form. We just need to get y by itself. Y is currently being multiplied by 2, So we're going to do the opposite and divide by 2. That equals 1, so we just get y. We have to divide the other side by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3, so we get 3x, therefore meaning our constant of proportionality is 3. Okay, so let's just finish this with 9 through 10. I am not going to go over these two problems at all. I've given you some hints back when I was talking about the notes over here. So if you need a reminder on how to do it, please just go back on the video and watch those, okay? So after you're finished with this, go watch the video about the review. It was going to be a deck toy, and that will be it for today. If you have any questions, please email me.